In our recent teacher training, I wanted to share with our students some of the wisdom that Christine Felix passed down to me. I believed it was very relevant to what the students were experiencing at the time, but I also feel like this is going to help a lot of existing yoga teachers. For those of you who don't know, Christine Felix was a dear friend of mine. She was one of the senior yoga teachers here at the yoga studio, and sadly she passed away over a year ago from cancer. Christine Felix was like a mother figure to me. I kind of held her in the same regard as my own mum, so we would clash sometimes and I would find her frustrating because that's the relationship we had. I did her head in a lot as well, but ultimately I let her do whatever she wanted because she was Christine. Early days we would get together and we would try and reflect on our service, the teacher training, and how we could improve. Now Christine Felix, in all honesty, didn't really like this reflection. She didn't like looking at our flaws. She wanted to focus more on the things we were doing right. I had the complete opposite mindset. I felt like it was very important for us to look at our overall product and kind of think about how we can improve. And I believe we can all apply that to our teaching also. So based on reflection, based on looking back at the way we teach and what we're offering, Christine Felix shared with me two of the worst things that ever happened to her as a yoga teacher that subsequently helped her become a better yoga teacher. And Christine shared this with me only, I would say, a few weeks after she stopped teaching here because of her chemotherapy. And Christine had been teaching for a very long time, so this was right towards the end of her teaching, where she was able to sit back and reflect and think about what she could have done differently. And these are the two worst things that ever happened to Christine as a yoga teacher. The first thing, someone once came out of class, and I believe I was there on the desk at the time in Woking, I don't quite remember. And this person said to Christine, "That playlist was superb. The music that you played in class was amazing. Can you please share it with me?" And the second worst thing that ever happened to Christine as a yoga teacher was someone commented on her sequence, on the creativity of her sequence. They said they'd never done anything quite as creative before, and it was just an awesome experience for that student. So why were these two experiences so bad for Christine? When Chris shared this with me, she said when that person told her about her music, Chris became quite obsessive about her playlists. Before that compliment, Christine hadn't put much thought into it. She would just, put the sequence together, find some music, didn't fuss too much. It just worked with her sequence. But she found that after this compliment that she was trying to live up to expectations. She felt like she constantly needed to find new music and she wanted to impress people more and more. The same thing is for her sequence. For those of you who know Christine, no one loved teaching more than Chris. And this is why people flocked to her classes, because you could tell how much she loved doing what she did. She had her sequences, she had everything planned out, and then she would kind of go back and forth between a bunch of sequences that she'd planned over the years. But because of this compliment about how creative she was, Christine now felt pressure to somehow be even more creative. And Chris found that there were days where she would do nothing but sit on the computer, try to think creatively and come up with new music, and her whole day would be wasted. Sometimes days would go by. She'd find the whole experience very, very frustrating. And Christine said that she looked in the mirror one day and didn't even recognize herself anymore. All Christine was doing was trying to live up to people's expectations. And in doing so, she was starting to lose the passion for what she did. And this reminds me of a story of Khalil Gibran, the author of The Prophet. There is a story that Khalil Gibran was a seeker of the truth, a seeker of God, a seeker of enlightenment, whatever you wish to call it. And by simply being a seeker, Khalil Gibran was like an illuminated presence. You would just be around Khalil and you would see that there was so much wisdom and so much magic to this being. And he wasn't even enlightened, he was just a seeker. And because of his nature, because of his presence, people and students were attracted to him. And whilst Khalil was a seeker, so many people wanted to be a student of his. And they begged and said, can we be your disciples? Can we follow you as you seek the truth? And of course, because Khalil Gibran loved his path and loved what he was doing, he was more than happy for these students to follow him wherever he went. A period of time elapsed, and then one day Khalil Gibran fell to his knees in front of his students, and his students were panicky, master, kind of, what is wrong? And Khalil Gibran broke down. He said, before I took you on as students, I didn't know where the destination was, but I knew where I was going. I knew who I was. In my heart, I was simply a seeker. And after taking you on as students, I've lost myself. All I'm concerned about is whether I can live up to the image that you have of me. In doing so, he said, I've lost my way. I don't know who I am and I don't know where I'm going anymore. That story came straight into my head when Christine shared her story with me. And it would be very easy for me, actually wouldn't, but I could change what I teach in order to be more popular. But really, how long could I do that for? In my heart, I have an idea of what yoga is and how I wish to teach this and how I wish to share. And I can only be as enthusiastic as I am, and I can only love what I do if I continue to teach my style. I can't compromise that, because like Christine, I will one day look in the mirror and I won't recognize who I am anymore. And the funny thing is Christine said, after one of the compliments, I don't think she saw that woman again. That woman didn't come back, but she was constantly living up to her expectations. You should come out of class and be happy in yourself that you've been honest, you've been true to yourself in the yoga that you delivered. Some people will like it and some people won't. You have to be thick-skinned. You have to accept that you cannot please everyone. And like I've been saying through the whole video, if you try, you'll burn yourself out and you'll lose the love for what you do. And Christine never really got to share with people what she felt made her a better yoga teacher over time, which was reflecting on what she felt where she was going wrong, and was able to change that and then kind of be more true to who she was. Anyway, I'm out of here.